A very good day to one and all present here. Thank you all for joining us in this session. Today, we will be seeing in detail on how you can manage and secure your modern endpoints in this post-pandemic hybrid work environment. This is Nisha Balaji. I'm a product marketer from Manage Engine's Endpoint Management and Security Suite of Solutions. And today for this session, I will be your presenter. So let us begin this session by taking a quick look at today's cybersecurity landscape. A recent research from Gartner has told that the worldwide spending on cybersecurity is going to reach about 134 billion in 2022. So what exactly does this number tell us? Even though being in a pandemic, cybersecurity threats are increasing exponentially across the globe. And we all know it all starts with your endpoints. What exactly do we classify as an endpoint? Any device that you use to perform your corporate tasks, be it your desktops, your laptops or mobile devices, your servers, or your point of sale devices, and even your browsers, your BYOD devices. All of these are considered an endpoint. And we need to take extreme precautions to ensure that all these endpoints are managed and secured effectively. Because this is every organization's current scenario. Owing to the pandemic last year, almost 90% of the organizations moved to a remote work environment. Even though most of us are coming back to our office environments, there are still a few of us who choose to opt from our remote locations. So, an organization's IT network is diversely spread across the globe. Every IT administrators need to take stringent measures to ensure that those devices which are in remote locations and those devices which are back in their offices are completely secure to eliminate any kind of cybersecurity risks. For that, almost every IT administrator would opt for a unified endpoint management solution. Because having one tool to perform all your device management capabilities and monitor and secure all these devices would be a way easier task than just juggling between multiple tools and products. So, a UEM solution not only helps you manage your legacy devices, but also your mobile devices, your BYOD devices, and even some of your point of sale devices. All of these can be managed from one single console. So before we move in detail about a UEM solution, let us take a quick look into the recent trends, especially in the endpoint management and security sector. One increasing trend, or especially over the last year, is the zero trust network access. The COVID pandemic has highlighted many of the problems with traditional VPNs. This emerging zero trust network access enables enterprises to control remote access to specific applications. Now, this is a more secure option as it hides applications from the internet. This reduces the risk of an attacker piggybacking on a VPN connection to attack other applications. So, a full scale zero trust network access adoption does require enterprises to have accurate mapping of which users need to access what applications and which will slow down the adoption. One major transformation that we've seen over the years is the adaptation to a cloud based environment. Cloud delivered security services and endpoint management are growing increasingly popular now, especially with the evolution of remote office technology. Software as a service technology allows organizations to better protect mobile workers and cloud applications by routing traffic through a cloud based security stack so that it flows through a physical security system in a data center. Another major trend which is increasing in the recent times is the automation of your security processes. Automating your security process can be performed in a much faster and a scalable way with a very few errors. There are diminishing facts to returning to building and maintaining automation, but now IT administrators and leaders can now invest in automation projects that help to eliminate repetitive tasks that consume a lot of time. So, this would leave them more time to focus on other critical security functions. Now, this is something that most of us would have come across and a gradually increasing trend in the recent times. No longer just a part of any compliance or legal issues, privacy is becoming increasingly influential, defined discipline on its own, affecting almost all aspects of an organization. So, as a rapidly growing standalone discipline, privacy needs to be more integrated throughout the organization. Specifically, it must co direct the corporate strategy and as such need to closely align with your security, procurement, legal governance, and much more. So, with these trends being in place, let us also see what kind of security challenges that they might pose in your IT network. Here's a quick fact for all of you. A recent research from the University of Maryland has told us that hackers attack almost every 39 seconds, which is on an average almost 2,200 times a day. So we need to ensure that we spot the security loopholes in our organization before it's too late. For that, I have a very few simple yet effective steps to detect and spot our security loopholes. One major step is ensuring and monitoring the access to your corporate resources. Now, with more devices in a remote work environment, VPN access is granted at a network level. Now, when you have complete access to your organization from a VPN, they may pose some kind of issues which can compromise your endpoint. And remember, a compromised endpoint is a convoy. So we need to ensure that we exercise proper control to all the access resources and the external devices that are connected to your organization's network. One major step that we need to closely monitor is ensuring your BYOD security. More and more organizations are now opting to use BYOD devices as individuals, users prefer using their own devices to perform their personal and corporate tasks. So, unsurprisingly, more than 60% of the organizations allow employee owned devices to access their networks. But then this access might grant to any unencrypted personal and corporate data. The problem arises when such devices which access your corporate data may be misplaced or stolen. So we need to have a close watch on these BYOD devices. Next is your applications. Applications always pose a string of problems when it comes to installing them in your corporate devices. Installation of applications from untrusted resources or from any unauthorized web applications may pose or tend for the applications to be malicious. Or the use of prohibited or blacklisted applications may come into your network, especially if these devices move out of your network to a remote location. So, we need to take proper steps to ensure that all these applications remain at bay. Next is managing your privileges for your users. Now, this is closely what we say with the access to your corporate networks. Here, every IT administrator will have to take proper precautions to ensure that the privileges are limited to your end user in your network, which includes addition of your browser extensions, installation of applications by the user without the permission of an IT administrator. Also, we need to limit the number of times that the default administrator account is enabled for a particular private user. One other major step on how vulnerabilities can enter your network is through browsers. So, to prevent that, we need to ensure that downloads from untrusted websites and installation of malicious attachments are completely restricted in your users' devices. Also, we have to keep a close lookout for any kind of data that might be copied to or from any external USB devices. Another key part for an IT administrator to secure your IT network is to deploy your critical updates, be it your regular patch updates or your zero-day exploits or your usual OS updates. All of these needs to be frequently monitored and updated as and when necessary to prevent any out-of-date operating system being monitored or any zero-day patches being exploited. So here are a few steps which we saw on how you can watch out for security loopholes in your network. So let me also share you a few simple steps on how you can secure your complete remote setup, be it your remote devices or your back to office devices. Securing these again require a very few and simple steps. The very first step might be securing your BYOD devices. So, to secure your BYOD devices, it is necessary if you just create profiles, independent profiles for your devices, deploy them with appropriate access control. You can lock down the device to specific applications, secure access to corporate documents. Also, you can create a privacy barrier so that your personal files are not mixed or accessed with your corporate files on a BYOD device. Also, ensure that proper data security is imposed on lost or misplaced devices. Next is minimizing your attack surface of your devices. The very first step, as we discussed, is implementing a zero trust policy. The other one would be to eliminate your high risk software. Applications which are deemed to be malicious can be blacklisted completely from your network. You can also choose to automatically uninstall such blacklisted applications as and when it's detected in any of the devices in your network. You can also fix any security misconfigurations that are detected in your network. Now, all of these tasks can be simplified if you have a one holistic unified endpoint management tool. We already saw the kind of problems that can be created or vulnerabilities that arise when you have application related issues. But there are simple steps to control and secure your applications. The first one, as I said, would be to blacklist, whitelist, or graylist your applications so as to categorize which applications would be safe in your network. And then limit the installation process of the applications without your IT administrator's approval. Your end user must always seek your IT administrator's approval to install their own preferred application into your corporate device. Also, manage such application related privileges on where you can install the applications, download the exe files, and so on. Next step would be to conducting your cyber hygiene measures, especially when it comes to browsers. We all know that browsers are the entry point to almost every cyber attack. So, here, having a proper browser management and security tool can help us apply a web filter or lock down the browsers to trusted applications. If you detect any harmful add ons, you can remove it immediately. Also, you can distribute only enterprise approved extensions and block the users from installing their own extensions. So, in such cases, you can ensure that your browsers are completely secured in all your devices. The other one is staying on top of all your critical vulnerabilities. Being an IT administrator is to make sure that you ensure that there are no vulnerabilities in your network. And one major step to do this would be deploying day to day patches to any of these vulnerabilities. So prioritize any critical vulnerabilities that may come up. Ensure that these vulnerabilities are completely removed from your network. So for such cases, when you have a patch ready, you can automate this patch deployment process so that as and when a missing patch is detected, immediately the patch is deployed to all your devices in the network, be it on-prem or in your remote locations. Even to update your applications, you can use self-service portal where the user can automatically install software updates all by themselves with the IT administrator's approval. Also, you can impose a list of security configurations, be it you're strengthening your firewall security, deploying your security policies, or imposing stringent password policies. All of these can be compiled together and deployed as one single configuration to all your devices in the network. A recent research from Gartner has told us that by the end of 2020, security services are expected to account for almost 50% of cybersecurity budgets. So we need to take complete steps to ensure that not just your endpoints are managed, but also completely secure. What would be the future of IT management, especially for IT administrators? IT administrators are now looking out for managing their endpoints, not just their legacy devices, but also their modern devices. Perform your usual endpoint management capabilities, security activities, and also manage your BYOD devices with modern management capabilities. All of these from a single console or a single tool. We from Manage Engine are proud to introduce a holistic unified endpoint management tool called Desktop Central, which can perform 360-degree endpoint management and security operations, starting right from deploying your operating system to performing your usual endpoint management activities, exclusive mobile device management activities, and modern management capabilities, also including your security capabilities, be it your vulnerability management, your browser security, applications, and device control. And the best part is all of this from one single console or one single tool. Endpoint management and security is a daily battle. IT administrators are now looking out for solutions which can be hosted both on premise and on cloud to perform all these capabilities from a single tool. The real question here is how prepared is your organization for this post pandemic new normal? Thank you all once again for joining us in this session.